All right. Well, welcome back to another episode here on the Enneagram at Work podcast. Today is an extra special episode because we not only have a guest, we have three guests. And this is going to be a really fun episode. Again, bringing kind of the real world to the Enneagram, taking the Enneagram out of the books and the theory and looking at how it kind of shows up in the real world, specifically in the real world workplace. And so today I am joined by the 3D team, the 3D dental team. And this was a group that I got to meet at their annual conference back in May 2025, depending on when you're listening to this. And I'll say more about the group in just a minute, but I want to go ahead and bring in T-Bone, and I'm going to have you share a little bit about yourself in a second. We have Megan and we have Meredith joining us. So just so we can hear each other's voices, T-Bone, would you kick it off? Tell us
Yeah.
what type you resonate the most with and what role you play in this team dynamic.
Well, I'm T-Bone. I'm a practicing dentist and owner of 3D Dentists. And when I did the quiz, it says that my go-to strategy is a type 8, striving to feel powerful. Eights have a desire to be strong and influential, to take action and protect themselves and others against injustices. So that's and that's pretty accurate. I would tell you definitely it's accurate. And so I'm excited to have a little bit of open air drama slash free therapy with my team. And let's I'm all in.
So
In
I,
all seriousness, I want to get better because what I do recognize is that everybody has a different personality. And when you have people that you're really passionate with, that are in it to win it with you, that you do things day in and day out, they become more than just coworkers. They become like family. At least that's always been how I've approached things, is to kind of be like family. So, I love my family, and I love both Meredith and Megan, and we have a very unique dynamic in a sense, because we have two businesses and different personalities, and so I just want to get better because I want to help. I want to serve them better and help make our businesses better, and that involves being like understanding what their
yeah.
languages are.
Well, and that's one of the things that we love about the work that we get to do is because we do spend so much of our lives in the workplace around our coworkers. So why not try to find tools like the Enneagram to better understand ourselves and to make those relationships, less stressful and, best case, more fun and enjoyable. So, and then I do have to, I'm gonna pick on you just a little bit
Just go
already,
ahead.
but T-Bone is already talking about how he wants to bring a little bit of the drama and to make this a therapy session. And I thought, oh, such a type 8, bring the confrontation. Let's challenge me a little bit. So I think you're onto
Which is
something with that type 8.
which is so funny because he only wants confrontation with certain people, and it tends to be us.
Well, it's because I love you guys. I get to truly be myself, and I get forgiven for some of the, like you have to be careful in a very professional setting with what you say or don't say to people. And it's always, at least for my personality, it's in my life, it's always been the ones you're the closest to are probably the ones that you overshare with or vent to and things like that. So
Yes, yes. Okay, well, we'll come back to some of that. Meredith, since we just heard your voice, let's bring you in. Would you share what type you're resonating the most with, or types, and your role in this team dynamic?
Okay, so I am Meredith. I've worked at both the practice, Raleigh Dental Arts, for 4 years, and then I've been at 3D Dentist as the business director for the last 6 years. And my type, according to this quick little test, is a type 2. So um, this does resonate. They have a desire to be appreciated and deeply united with others. They're helping others shine. Superpowers are reading people and unique ability to understand and emphasize with others.
Okay,
So
and then
that's all fitting, but I've always been a 3 in past Enneagram experiences.
Okay, and we'll dig into that a little bit more, but
Yeah.
I think that's important to share. We'll talk about those differences in just a minute. It's not that crazy. Sometimes they seem kind of like opposites because you have the type two, who's sometimes known as like the helper, or ultimately they want to be connected. And then you have the type three, who's sometimes known as the achiever, striving to feel outstanding. But there are a lot of overlaps, and one of those
Hmm.
is kind of around wanting to be appreciated and recognized for all that you do. So we'll kind of get into some nuanced differences later. But thank
Yeah.
you for being here.
Mhm.
And then we have, last but not least, Megan. Let us know where you're at on the Enneagram, and what your role is here.
Yeah. So I am in the private dental office all the time. So I am a dental hygienist, but I really just work with Dr. A and keeping his schedule full and perfect. Um, so my type was a type one, so a perfectionist. And as I was reading through this, I haven't done a whole lot of deep dives into this, but unfortunately I feel like I see a lot of the negative traits of this. So like organized and disciplined, rational, but critical and judgmental,
No.
resentful. Um, so like a lot of those rigid, uncompromising. So I don't want to be negative on myself, but I feel like that's why got this
Uh-huh.
category.
We all have our own
Um,
stuff.
yeah. So that's where I was at.
Okay. Okay. Well, and
Well, right off the bat, I saw all the positives and Megan saw all the negatives. So if that doesn't
Well,
explain the two of us,
okay, I'll make Megan feel better. Here's how
okay.
I frustrate others: being domineering, arrogant, stubborn, a my way or the highway approach.
Is that, do
oh,
you
that's all
experience?
true.
It it does track.
I don't.
Yeah.
I take offense to the arrogant word. I can 100% see how people can misconstrue that, but I would say I'm hardly internally arrogant. I would probably say I'm more unsure of myself than I am overly arrogantly confident. So
Yeah, arrogant, confident. Well, and I know before we hit record, T-Bone and Megan were talking about 9 and 1, and there or not 9 and 1, 8 and 1. And there are several similarities, and I would just love to hear if this is true for you, and then I'll share the differences and see if you notice these. So this is a really common like typing confusion, like am I an 8 or am I a 1, that comes up. But because they both have kind of a vision of what is the right way, a lot of times the one will say, what does the policy say, or the rule or the law or whatever, and like that's the right way, and I'm gonna stand on that line, that that's the right way we should do it. Sometimes, to your point, T-Bone, eights also have a vision of a right way, but a lot of times it's who cares what the process says, it's my way, I think this is the right way, my way or the highway. And then the other little difference is that type ones tend to be really politically correct most of the time. And they're going to be a little bit more thoughtful before they say something, to kind of process, how is this going to be received? Am I saying it the right way? Am I saying it the perfect way, or writing it the perfect way? And an eight, obviously, as somebody grows, they're gonna, will evolve, but stereotypical eights just kind of say, well, I said what I said. It's kind of on you how you want to take that. And I can't help it. I can't help that's how you felt about what I said.
I probably trend more to that in communication.
That I said what I said.
Hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yep. That's
We'll,
her.
we'll, we'll, we'll dig into that a little bit
Needs
more.
approval. Yes.
um, and for the type 2/3, what about the 3, Meredith, that you had originally typed as? What pieces of that do you think resonated with you?
Well, if you want me to read the glimpse, every part of it,
Okay.
adaptive, excelling, driven, and image conscious, I would say are
Okay.
all me.
image conscious for sure.
But
and
adaptive for sure. I mean, my job, my people, they change day to day. The roles, we just got to go with it. We're trying to stay up with the technology and everything. And I feel like if you're not adaptive in this industry, you're behind.
yes, yes. And one of the things about a three that tends to be a core quality is their appreciation or desire for efficiency. And
Mhm.
so this was sometimes the nuance between a two and a three. A two, will typically take the time to, how's your day? How you doing? And really genuinely want to know. And not that threes can't do that or don't care about people, but they tend to think, hey, we have an agenda. Let's start on time. Let's follow the agenda. Let's make sure we end on time. Do you have is there one way or the other that resonates more with you?
I'm probably a mix of the two of those,
Okay.
but definitely we're here to do something. Let's get started, kind of thing. More probably
Okay.
lean more till three.
Okay. T-Bone, so you lead this large conference. You have this group, you have the 3D group, you have the dental practice. I know you called yourself out with all of the overuse strengths of the eight, but there are also a lot of great strengths with the eight, the directness, the confidence, the ability to instill that confidence in others, being bold. A lot of times they're very fun loving and incredibly big hearted. Out of your strengths list, I'm kind of putting you on the spot.
That's okay.
What do you see? What are some things that you see that have helped you be successful in managing these different things, and along your career path to getting here?
I would probably say the directness has been the biggest strength and a little bit of weakness as well. One, because sometimes when you really want something or that this is the way to get there, you'll hear a lot of differing opinions, and sometimes you just have to be direct that this is the way we're going to go. My saying, and I don't say this in a mean way, but my saying is it's ultimately it's my name on the door, so let's just go with it. I'll die on my own sword is kind of how I look at it. So let's go this way. But sometimes the directness can certainly rub a lot of people or some people the wrong way because, I do have a lot of feelings for people. And I do feel, what my mom says, this is very therapy, I guess, but what my mom said to me probably in the 6 months ago, she says, your mouth doesn't represent what your heart feels. Sometimes your mouth speaks too fast, is really what she was saying. And so my heart is very big and I do care a lot for people, but I do care to achieve probably more than sometimes they care about people's feelings.
Okay. And there's a place and time for that. It's somebody, another fellow eight was saying, I care about people. We just can't sing Kumbaya every day. We have
Yeah.
we have things to do. And so it is kind of just finding that balance, kind of dialing it in. So one of the things that we talked about in Nashville when we did the overview of the types was how others drive us crazy, those workplace pet peeves. And I'm just curious if there's anything that you remember that stood out about what drives you crazy, or if there's just a really clear pet peeve that you have, and we'll see if it kind of ties to your Enneagram type.
Yeah, I have lots of pet peeves and I have lots of things that drive me
You
crazy.
don't close the doors in the hallways.
Okay.
Like there's
Yeah, why should I need to be careful what the can of worms I'm about to open
no,
here.
no, it's okay. Like
It rubs
I'm
off on all of us too. It's
I,
funny.
like I like to be like I like to hold to commitments. So if I
Hmm.
say I'm going to be there at 6:45, I want to be there at 6:45. If we say we're going to start at this time, I want to start at this time. It's those things. Like for example, I don't like us or any team members walking in and out of the front door of our practice. We have a team entrance, and that's where we should come in and out. The front entrance is for the patients. I don't like patients to see us coming in and out if we're late or if we're leaving early or make them feel like I hate it at restaurants when they start mopping up and I'm still trying to eat my meal.
Right.
Those kind of things drive me nuts. And so I don't like those.
You never go out to eat,
I
dude.
know I definitely don't go out to eat anymore. So for sure.
Well, okay, so here's something that's kind of interesting is the type 8s are striving to feel powerful. And it's really sometimes that's like, oh, I don't know if I like that, but it's
Mm.
really the power to produce a result. And
Yeah.
so, as you're talking about whether it's the doors being shut or people being on time, sometimes people will think time management, type ones have a monopoly on being on time preferences, but it goes back to that core logic, and it's, hey, we have a result to get to, we have a goal that we want to hit, and so we need people to be on time. And so as you were talking about that kind of made me think of that. It's kind of what is below that desire, that need, or that pet peeve in this case.
Yeah, the
um
other thing, I'm sorry, I
you'll go
apologize.
ahead.
Um, the other thing that I would say that I kind of, it drives, you asked me what drives me crazy and what I struggle with is one of the areas I struggle is when people don't catch on as quick
Mm-hmm.
as me. And I don't know if
Yes.
that's just by cultural nature, or I just like at some point I'm like, how can you not do 2 + 2 = 4? It's a bad example, but like I can do math in my head, and I can see people like trying to figure it out. I'm like, oh my God, let's go.
Yes. Okay. So that is very common. And type 8s aren't the only one that have this feeling, but that is common. I don't know if we talked about this during the workshop or not, but 8s kind of have this just do it. Just do it. Like the Nike, like
Yeah,
just do it. And if you don't know how to do it, try and do it and then fix it as you go along. We don't need to have
exactly.
a meeting about it. Whereas other types are like, wait a minute, I have questions. I have concerns. Did we think this through? And that can be incredibly irritating to somebody who just wants to get started. Just do it. Just catch on the first time.
Yeah,
Um,
T-Bone puts people on ticket systems that ask too many questions. That
okay,
gives you, that's a good example.
I was just about to ask if you see that show up and do you have an example?
Yeah, there you go. If people ask too many questions during a course, he'll be like, you have 3 tickets left. Use them wisely.
Oh,
Like at the end of the day,
okay.
I'll answer all their questions, but this let's get through the material. They'll probably get answered on their own.
Okay. The other thing I want to ask about an 8, and feel free to chime in, Meredith or Megan, if you see it, if you have any good examples of this for T-Bone. But one of the other strengths that a lot of type 8 leaders have is the ability to thrive in a challenge. And not that they go out and look for drama or challenges necessarily, but it's if the food isn't right at the restaurant, they're going to be comfortable sending it back. If a vendor didn't get something right, they have no problem calling and letting them know. If somebody didn't do something correctly, it's, hey, it's not it's not an emotional issue. I just need you to fix it. Just do it differently. And so it's whatever challenge is happening, they tend to just kind of keep going, and have both the confidence and the energy, the passion to keep everybody else going through that challenge, and aren't afraid of difficult conversations. Do you see that in yourself, T-Bone, or Megan and Meredith? Do you see that in him?
I'll let them answer.
Yeah, I mean, you really have like two full-time jobs that you split into a regular week, and it's always like a fire over here, a fire over there. I mean, not so much Meredith, she's pretty organized, but I just think you really thrive in a challenge. Like he stays engaged.
Oh, I mean,
I don't know, you don't struggle
yesterday he
through
had
it.
difficult conversations with the company that wasn't delivering. I had no problem with it. And then today he's like, was I a little tough? I'm like, yeah, we're probably not at the top of their list.
Well, I said what I said. I said what I
Yeah,
said.
it's
Well,
a great
but my
example.
prop, but to the point of getting
But
better
he just wanted to be
is,
clear.
Mm-hmm.
but the point of getting better is the reason I asked was because clearly I felt I was probably a little too harsh, but I just like I want to work with them, but I can't. The structure that we have created currently isn't win-win, and so I just don't want to keep doing things that don't benefit everybody.
Mm-hmm. And I think that some of us have a really hard time speaking up in those situations, and so we can find a lot of inspiration, and you can be an example for having those needed conversations. What's the saying? Clear is kind
Yeah, being clear is
versus
kind.
nice. Yes, yes. The other thing, and then we'll move. I'm going to move on to you, Megan. I have some questions for you. there was a type 8 sales leader, and we were going around after a workshop, and everybody had a chance to share like the strengths that they saw in their coworkers. And he had said, "Oh man, I don't even want to hear what my team was going to say about me. I don't know if they can say anything good. I'm so hard on them." But somebody said, "I really appreciate that when I'm having a hard time, a challenge, I can come into your office, I can sit down, I can tell you about it, and I feel confident that you're going to help me take care of it with that confidence, with that, like, I'm not going to back down, with the passion to get through a difficult situation." And that manager, he was like, "Wow, I didn't realize that they saw me like that." So there's a lot of benefits too that kind of spill over into your team, having that ability to speak directly and to be clear. And sometimes clear is kind, like you're saying, always clear is kind. So Megan, okay, so we're here maybe a 1 or an 8. Curious, what are some of the workplace pet peeves? So I know for an 8, their pet peeves kind of beating around the bush, sugarcoating the truth, being micromanaged, or having to micromanage others, overthinking versus doing. Let's see, what are some of the others? Getting perceived as controlling. And then some of the pet peeves as a type 1 are around people who break the rules, late to meetings, not following the process or the procedures, making excuses when a mistake is made, not being responsible or accountable for those mistakes. Those are some of the kind of the theory, Enneagram theory. Anything in there jump out at you, or what should we know about some of your top workplace pet peeves?
Yeah, so definitely the beating around the bush, I like direct communication. I don't enjoy micromanagement or giving it. I think I feel similarly to T-Bone and the kind of like, let's go, hurry up. Not ru I mean, it is rushing. It's probably rushing others, but like catch up, let's go.
Let's just
I
jump
think is
in.
is my big one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then Meredith. So as a type 2, some of those pet peeves are around getting left out of meetings or events. People sometimes taking advantage of the help that or the additional work that they're willing to do for somebody, their generosity, making decisions without them being considered, or the impact on the rest of the team. And this is a big one that I hear from a lot of 2s is, wait a minute, this is a huge decision. Have we slowed down to think how the impact on the people? So 2s are usually 2s, 9s are asking those kind of questions. And then 3s pet peeves are around missing deadlines, unnecessary meetings, very much this could have been an email type of mentality, wasting their time, being long-winded. I don't know if I said this also during the training, but I say a lot of 3s out of all the types have the hardest time with like team building, team training activities because it feels like this has nothing to do with my goal. I have things to do. I have clients to call on. And then expecting them to spend time dealing with your feelings. Those are just a couple from Enneagram theory. Anything in there stand out for you, or what we should know about your workplace pet peeves?
Yeah. I did a training the other week and it was about like taking clarity breaks. And so when you said, it asked, is everybody doing these weekly? You should be doing them during the day. And I'm like, I can't do that. I have things to do.
I got things
I
to do.
can't just sit there and have a break. I got things to be doing. So that really resonated. But then a lot of the 2s do as well. I feel like I spend a lot of time with the people on our team, training, helping, um, staying engaged, I guess. I try not to micromanage, but I try to stay engaged with what people are doing. And so I feel like that's, but a lot, at the same time, I'm like, couldn't you just texted this to me? Why did you need to call me for this? So
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. We're still filling out the 2 and the 3. I'm curious. So T-Bone, you have talked about your own growth and just some things that have shifted, ways that you've grown. Is there anything that you would add to things that you've noticed that, as we talk about an eight, for example, and some of those qualities, a lot of times people will say, well, I maybe used to do that 5 years ago, but I've been through therapy, whatever, and I've grown through that. So that isn't true anymore. Is there anything like that for you and big ways that you've seen that you've grown? And we'll keep it to the workplace.
Yeah. I think as you mature in life, you get a little bit more conscious of people's feelings. And I know sometimes it may not come across that way, but definitely you become more conscious of people's feelings. You take an extra half second before you talk. So, so that's probably for me the biggest thing, and I'm more conscious of trying to understand people, and understanding their different types, so that I can tailor my messaging or tailor my personality to them. I don't want to say like I'm going to tailor to them, but I hope you guys, what I'm saying is I can't just be there's some people I just can't be very direct with. You've got to add a little sugarcoating to it. So those are kind of things that over time, I don't know if it's through growth or if just through a little bit of age and experience, that comes along. But that's probably the main thing. And I can't run as hard as I used to. I'm not talking about physically run. I'm just talking about work run
But
and
both.
emotion
Yeah.
run. Yeah, but both, yes, for sure. I can't do that as I don't actually. I probably might be able to run better today than I did 10 years ago. But yeah. So I get annoyed easier, and I have less patience with people. And I don't know if that's a matter of I don't tolerate it as well, or I'm just so stretched and running two different businesses that would be full time probably. Each business would be full time in most situations. That I just don't have time or the bandwidth to be able to tolerate some of that.
Okay. I have a kind of a follow-up question to that. I know as a type eight's leadership style is known as the commander. And I know being the owner of these businesses, leading these teams in the role that you're doing, I know that you can't do it all. So sometimes for our eights, sometimes our threes, sometimes ones, letting go and allowing other people to do things and to trust them to do it is really difficult, because you can probably do it faster. You probably can do it better. And it's just easier if you do it. But I know that's a great recipe for burnout. So what are some things for others who are maybe struggling with that? Anything that you've done that has helped you let go some, delegate a little better?
Well, I would tell you that in I've done a decent job of what you're talking about there. Okay, I would argue that I haven't done a good enough job of delegating and all those things. It's still what holds our businesses back to a certain degree. But for me, trust is so important, and that's why one of the tendencies I happen to see around me is the people that I do delegate to have been around me a good amount of time. I develop that trust. I develop a level of some cushion to where if it isn't exactly the way I want it, I know that their heart is in the right place. They're like Megan and I have been butting heads for a few days, maybe a few weeks, from different things. But she said something to me yesterday that stuck out. She says, "Hey," she said, "Dude," that's when I know she's angry with me. She says, "We're on the same team. I'm on your team." Like almost like I know that, but in her case, I did need a reminder that we are on the same page. We've been at this 14, 15 years together, that we're on the same team. And sometimes, and I value that very much, to be able to delegate.
Mhm.
I don't know if I answered your question or just did my own therapy session there.
No,
I appreciate it.
that's great. Yeah, no, that's great. And
She needed that.
Well, Megan, let me ask you this. So, and
I'm sorry.
I can
One thing I
go
do want
ahead.
to say, I want you to go where you're going, but of the two, here's what I want to say, because I want to put some attention on them. a little bit, because I think it's easy on these conversations to, when it's a strong leader like myself, to get the conversation there. But really, it's the people next to us, not even behind us, that really make us shine. And Megan and Meredith have done a great job of helping me shine. But the insight I would give is Megan and I butt heads, like, so, like she said something like, one of her other teammates said, "Are you going to get fired?" And in my mind, I'm like, God, that's like so far away from the truth. But to externally to people, they see us butt heads, and I'd love us to unpack that a little bit. And then on Meredith, I have a tendency to hurt her feelings easily,
Oh.
and I'm like, God, you've been with me so long at this point, and she probably, in her, even though she's been with me less than Megan, she's probably spent more time directly with me, and still at this stage, I hurt her feelings. So those are the things that I noticed that I do want to get better at. And also, I think people in my position should definitely understand that. I'm the reason I bring this up is I wonder how many people I've lost along the way who could be Megan and Meredith, because I didn't understand their personality type, or they never got to the stage where we could work together in a way that created a positive environment.
Yeah, I mean that's very self-aware. And like we were talking about, I think Megan, you were talking about your overuse strengths list, but we all have that, and it looks worse when it's our own, but we all have our own crap, you know? But that's very, very self-aware. Okay, Meredith, I'm going to come to you. I got some questions about what he just said and then some additional ones. But Megan, I want to ask you, kind of from two different angles. I got some questions. One kind of managing up, and then your own leadership styles. So, right now we don't know. Are you an 8? Are you a 1? It doesn't matter at this moment. But one of the things that I will hear from 8s and sometimes 1s, is that the text will say a lot of times that 8s are natural leaders and they're confident leaders. And so for them to be led is really difficult. But what I hear from 8s is that no, I can absolutely be a team player. I can absolutely be led, but I need to feel confident in the person that is leading me. And so is there anything that you agree with on that? Do you see that dynamic with the two of you? It sounds like the story that T-Bone was just sharing is that like, hey, I trust that we can have hard conversations and I'm not going to get fired, which is really important to people who value, obviously, direct communication because, hey, I don't have to like it, but I feel safe if I know where I stand with you.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely think I feel like we have a safe space at work. I think the problem with my job and my personality is that so much of it is just me. Like I can work by myself. My tasks are mine. I don't have to, like Meredith's so great with everybody, anybody, any situation, and I can kind of go in my room and like grind it out. Um, and I do love our team. Like I love everybody. The directness hurts feelings, and that's been something I've been working on for years. Dr. A made the comment, we have a new manager in the practice that's a man, and he said that I think you do better with male leadership, which I don't know if that's something that I need therapy. I don't know. I don't feel catty with women. But I can see how the way I work could be a room for improvement when others are incorporated.
I have another client who's a type 8 woman in the corporate world, and she has said something similar. And she said it's not about like man or woman necessarily. It's just I use so much energy during the day trying to say the politically correct thing or the soft thing or not hurt someone's feelings. And so when I'm in a meeting or in a one-on-one with somebody who kind of communicates like me, it is just such a relief because I can speak freely and I don't have to use up so much brain power thinking, am I going to hurt this person's feelings? So I don't know if you feel that at all, but I thought, oh, that's really interesting.
I do. Yeah, I do. I just would prefer super, and we are a more female dominated profession, and there's just a lot of emotion, and not saying what you need, you know?
Yeah. 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 Just tell me what you need.
Which is so funny because this is how
Yes.
Megan is with the team, but with patients, she is the exact opposite, which is what we always have a laugh about. With the patients, she is just the sweetest, most loving, kindest person. And we walk by her door and we're like, "Who are you?"
It's not real. No,
No,
it
no,
is,
no.
it
Let's say
is
that
real,
It
but
is
it's
though.
real. It's your
It
heart.
is.
It's your
Yeah.
heart. Yeah.
So
thank
I
you.
also feel like probably should have preempted our relationships a little bit better. So like we've all worked together. I joined them 10 years ago. So Megan and I have worked together for 10 years. And I would say we have so many of similar qualities, and then we are exact opposite at the same time.
Hmm.
And we're like sisters. We're best friends. We like each other outside of work, but man,
I
at
love
work
you.
we fight like sisters.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's sometimes it's healthy, you know, you need to say those hard things because they're there anyway, and they just create weird tension and awkward environment. So to be able
Yeah.
just to hash it out real quick and, you know, move on. Meredith,
I know
let
one
me,
time,
okay.
I know one time T-Bone looked at Megan. He said, "I know you did this. You go apologize to her and make it right."
Yeah.
Oh, that's
You,
great. You
you
guys,
know,
yeah.
I think another unique thing about this dynamic is, in a way we fight for each other's time
Mm.
at the end. Like it's two separate businesses, but they're somewhat intertwined. And, like again, I'm not
We
trying to
both
throw.
love all the businesses and want to help the businesses, but at the same time, we're trying to do our role, right?
Yeah, and one business gets in the way of the other business. So sometimes Meredith's need for
Mm.
me gets in the way of me, Megan, being able to say yes to patients, and me being at the
Rarely.
office, and some,
Usually the
of
reverse.
course. And
Yeah.
then often it's the reverse. Like Meredith wants me to do something and be available for something, but then my desire to sustain and fulfill our patient care kind of gets in the way as well. And that's where I believe, while even though it's two separate businesses, those two have to interact and coincide and work very well together, and that's where their clashes and or their personality styles become very important as well.
It does. Okay. And I'm so glad you said that because at the end of the day, the Enneagram is really a problem resolution framework. And so if everything's going great, then, just it's a fun thing to learn about. But it really comes in handy when you're trying to figure out, oh, why did we butt heads or what happened at this conversation or what's going on here to kind of dig into and see. And this is a really interesting, dynamic and then you add in that insight of the types, and it can be really helpful to understand where that other person is coming from or see the world kind of through their lens. Megan, before we move on, I said I had a question for Meredith, and I do, but real quick, I had asked T-Bone about his some of the workplace growth that he has noticed in himself. So as a type 8, they call the growth arrow, it goes to the type 2, which is really interesting because that tends to be the one that they neglect the most, the striving to feel connected and nurturing people and sitting with hard feelings and that sort of thing. But an 8 can absolutely do that as they grow. And then depending on where you land with your type, the growth for the type 1 is the 7, striving to feel excited, spontaneity, joy, fun, looking for the best, sometimes breaking the rules, and just figuring it out along the way. What's something that, and it doesn't have to be one of those two things, but what's a way that you've seen yourself really grow the most, or grow in the workplace?
I, you know, I wish I had a great answer for that. I would love to like be more connected. I think it more is like a work in progress, like with the team, but I kind of
Hmm.
feel like both of those, like find more joy together.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's
You
just
know,
so easy to like, yeah, go. What do you think there?
I think Megan's very hard on herself.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, I think that's a personality trait, certainly for herself. But here's what I will say: as much as we give Megan a hard time for being direct and being rough around the edges with other team members because, she, like herself, she said, I just like getting in the room and hustle and grind. She'll be the first person to advocate for others. That's what I've noticed her growth area over the last few years. She's willing, I say she's willing to give her shirt off her back for somebody else. Like she'll say, hey, instead of me getting a raise, why don't we have somebody else get a raise this year or do things like that? And I think those are the things that I've seen and Megan grow. In fact, I tried to get Megan to be our office manager leader because I see that in her. But she kept turning me down.
But what did you say? What was your response to that?
I said, you got to learn how to get along with people a little bit more.
You said, if it weren't for your interpersonal skills, you could run this whole damn thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fair. It's fair.
But the interpersonal skills is misleading in a sense because she cares for people.
Yeah.
She just has they're just not ready to hear it from the way she says it. It's just no different than me.
Yeah. Is it what your mom said? The heart in the mouth?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very similar.
Yeah.
I like the way you said they're just not ready to hear it the way she says it. Because I was thinking earlier, like how T-Bone talked about how they butt heads all the time. And we very rare, like, yes, you hurt my feelings, but we very rarely fight or like butt heads. I guess when I say we're fighting, it's because I'm upset. It's not
because I've heard her feelings.
Yeah, it's not because we're actually fighting. Like last week, he didn't
It's
introduce
a one-sided fight.
Yeah. Last week, he didn't introduce me to like a big company that came that like I'm taking all the sales for. And I'm like, you didn't even introduce me. I'm like, I don't even think you want me to be good at my job. I'm like,
how do they not know you? You're the person that is my right hand person that like, how do they not know that you're,
but it's a new company. And so I'm like, you didn't even introduce me. Yeah. So I just feel like I could say the same things that Megan says to him and we don't argue because I'm not a confrontational person. And and he thinks about the way he gives it back to me is not the same way he would give it back to Megan.
Yeah, definitely not. I do adjust the way I say things to Meredith differently than I say things like to Megan. Yeah,
and then he adjusts down even more. Like what always drives me crazy is I'll be like, you would have said something to me and Megan, but you won't say something to them. And he's like, well, I have to wear my kid gloves with them. And I'm like, they're 44 years old. What do you mean? Or he'll say something like, they're not part of the family. They're a team member. They're not family. I can't say that to them. I'm like, well, I'll go say something to them because I care so much. And I feel like he deserves the best of the best, the best of the best of people. Yes. And I'm like, they need to know. Just say it nicely. Yeah. He's like, I can't. So then things just don't get said at all.
Interesting. And that is so true. And something that a lot of people, really struggle with. And I'm sure you don't get it right all the time, but just to be aware of this person needs me to speak to him this way. This person, needs me to give it to him in 5 words or less. And to do that. And it does take a lot of effort and getting to know people and taking the time. And it does take months, years to get to that level of understanding of what people need. And the Enneagram is one way to kind of get a little sneak peek into there. But all kinds of other tools are available. And then just spending time with somebody. Meredith, let me ask you, so for your kind of growth in the workplace for our type 2s, it is around being a little bit more direct. Speaking up. For 2s tend to be really good about standing up for other people, but when it comes to themselves, they sometimes struggle to ask for what they need and sometimes expect other people to read their mind. And they want to be appreciated for the good things that they do for others, the work that they do for others, and a growth for a type 2 is, hey, I'm going to do this because it makes me happy and I may not get a thank you. Type 3s, some of their growth is around delegating, slowing down a little bit, allowing other people to come along with them. Not to say that they shouldn't be efficient anymore, but are there opportunities to connect more with people? So those are kind of some of the highlights of those two types. Anything in there that I said resonate, or just a general how you've noticed that you've grown over the years in the professional
Yeah,
setting?
so yeah, definitely I've become more of a two, I think, as I've grown. Like I started more as a three and I've become more of a two. And that's kind of just happened over when I started with 3D, it was just me and T-Bone. So we pretty
Oh,
much
wow.
we just did it all. It was easier for us to just do it. So that was a hard mentality to get
There was
out
nobody
of.
else to do it. It was just us.
It was, yeah, but it was just easier if we just did it all. So then as we brought people on, I was still like, I can do this. I can do this. I don't need them. And just in the last year or so, we've grown even more. And I've really had to focus on helping other people. Like we can't do it alone. We've gotten to where we've gotten, but we won't get to the next step without. And so that's taken a lot of time and training people to take on doing things the way we want them done, I guess, like the 3D way.
So it sounds like, Meredith, you work a lot with other people, and then Megan, you work a lot with the processes and operations part,
Megan
Well,
or
I
actually,
do both.
technically, Megan works with more people than Meredith does. Technically,
Yeah.
okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Not
I just said
coworkers,
that, not
clients,
coworkers. Okay,
they're
okay,
clients. They're
okay.
people coming in to spend money and
Yeah.
need
And
your
I
stuff.
still deal with all the doctors and the sales and all of that too. But I have
well,
definitely devoted more time to our people in the last year than we have in the past.
Okay,
can I make a comment on this real quick? An
please.
observation from as a business owner leader. I think one of the things that people like Meredith, and I don't mean this in a negative way necessarily. One of the things I
Feels.
see that's my soft way of saying so don't let me take it the wrong
I
way.
love you, but
But
Yeah.
is it's a compliment, okay? Is that it's really it's an area of growth that people like Meredith have to overcome. Is like I try to tell Meredith that as our organization grows and we go from just me, like I go from one team member, Meredith, to now having six team members or seven team members, and many working all over the country even like one of the things that they have to grow is not being seen as the most important person or feeling like hey I'm not purposely trying to leave you out, but if my business is only dependent on you being able to do everything, we can only get so far. So I always tell Meredith like there's going to be times in this next phase of growth where you feel irrelevant or not important or trying to get pushed aside, and it could be nothing further from the truth. It's that you've just got to believe, and that's to me where the family part, the trust part comes in, that we've grown together over these last 10 years. There will always be continued growth for you, but step one for something bigger for you is to get everything that you do off your plate, to almost feel like you have no value, to only find out that now you have space to be even more valuable in things. And I would tell you that I have seen Meredith, I've seen her struggle with this, but I've also seen her come to terms or come to grips with that part of it.
Yeah, and I will say I will say that is a common struggle for a three for sure, and I can see it for the type twos, um, because you are so good at what you do, and it can feel weird to have somebody else take the thing that you're so good at or the things. And it can feel that way. But to your point, T-Bone, it's like, well, now you have time for other things for you to get excellent at and great at.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk about two quick topics real quick, and I would love any insight. Enneagram, we can infuse the Enneagram in here if it makes sense. One of the things the groups will say that this insight about themselves and others has helped them with is when it comes to having to make decisions as a group. So I'm just curious, and I don't know if it ever is the dynamic where the three of you are making a decision, but I would love just to kind of hear how that decision making chemistry happens, and anything interesting or things that you have learned to get better at making decisions more effectively, quicker, with less hurt feelings, whatever it might be.
Well, I'll interject. I always have something to say. Um, uh, I've learned to listen to people more. That doesn't mean that doesn't mean I've learned to actually listen, like actually take into account what they're saying. But
He's
I
still a
definitely
man in one ear and out the other.
no, it's in there. It's in there. But I have learned that, and for me, this all really boils down to trust. I have learned that when people are on your team and they're on your side, they're giving you insight that has tremendous value. They're seeing things from your blind spots, or seeing things from their lens or their personality types, if we look at it that way. Because not every one of our customers, in fact, the majority of our customers in both businesses are not my personality. So I have to understand and learn that the personalities around me see things and dip from it. Like I see things from a very black and white direct level. Meredith sees things in color and from a very emotional level. And so you have to understand. I've learned that you got to learn to take that insight that they bring to the decision process. But at the same time, I've also learned, I'm learning, this is one thing I'm struggling with as we get bigger, is that ultimately the decision sometimes can't be democracy or democratic, because there's too many different personalities in the room, and everybody sees it through their own lens.
One of the I was telling you before we hit record, I was talking to one of your members of the 3D dental group, and she identifies most as a type 9, and their leadership style is known as a consensus builder because they are so good at bringing everybody's voice to the table, allowing everybody to be heard. But on the flip side, to your point, T-Bone, that can really slow things down. It can be hard to get things done because you're so worried about everybody having a voice and weighing all the decisions. So it is just a constant, dialing it in kind of thing. Megan or Meredith, anything that you would add to your kind of decision-making process, or how you all work together to make decisions?
Yeah, I mean,
I would say,
you
oh,
go.
go ahead.
You go.
No, you go.
Megan, go first.
I think Meredith's level of considerate, like anything she says to me is really valuable because she isn't confrontational, and like I know she needs it. So quietly lets me steal a lot of his attention when I need it and take up days that would typically be hers. So it's a goal of mine to let you have your time. I don't know. I feel like I step on it.
I think, like he said, we know we're family. So, like, I look at it as like, I'm like, well, if she's taking him, then it's a good case. She really needs him. Like, she wouldn't just bring him to sit there. I don't think we're ever like against each other or anything like that. Like, she just doesn't want him to come to 3D. So she brings him in the office kind of thing. Like, that's never crossed my mind. Um, I'm surprised she doesn't send him to me more often just to get rid of him. But
This
I
week she
think
probably
that
wanted to.
For sure.
I think that I think make this when it comes to decision making, because we do still work together pretty regularly, even though we're in separate companies technically. When it comes to decision making, I think we all don't really have an issue there. We know each other so well.
Yeah. Yeah. That definitely helps, having that time. Sometimes groups will talk about, man, they just jump into a decision and I need some more information. Exactly what are we
Yeah.
doing? How are we going to get
So we
started? And
have
that
one
can
girl, we have a girl on our team like that.
Okay, yeah. And
Yeah.
it can really bother the people who are like, let's just jump
Yeah.
in. But on the flip side, it can really bother
I'm like, we'll
someone
figure
like
it out when
her.
we get there. We just gotta go.
Oh, okay. So as we wrap it up, we talk a lot about using the Enneagram and the team dynamic, creating your own organization or business's version of a dream team. And I'm just curious how you would define a dream team. What makes a really effective team, and ideally an effective and also happy team that gets along? What do you think are some important parts of that?
Man, I'm probably the wrong person to ask. I'd probably want a bunch of eights, and so let's just go and get
Hold
to
your
work.
Kill each
haters.
other. You'd kill each other.
Probably, but I've never worked with lots of eights, right? So I don't have that experience of what that's like. But I would be like, let's just go to work. Let's get the work done. And then we can leave and, we can be family after work. Like, my personality outside of work is very different than my personality at
Yeah.
work because when I'm at work, I just want to be at work. I just want to do the
Mm-hmm.
work. And so like, I'm probably not the best person to ask that question to, but what I will say from insight is a great team kind of has let me say this differently. A great leader surrounds himself with people that have that tolerate or put up with their personality, but have the missing components of their
Mm.
personality. Like I'm not necessarily the most organized person, so I have a Meredith who is more organized. I'm not necessarily, I'm not necessarily the most detail oriented person, but I have Megan who is more detail oriented than me. So you have to build that around you to actually accomplish more. So probably that's one of the things that I've noticed over time is that if you do have too many eights or too many XYZs, similar personality types, you kind of almost in a way repel each other, or you just don't get enough done to build a meaningful business.
Like that. Anything else you would add to that, Meredith or Megan?
No, I think I like working with different people. I like that I think we need all different types of people. We need people that, want to get down to the nitty-gritty and can't move forward without it because otherwise we would, we wouldn't have workbooks and all these little things that we
Yeah.
need. So I think as we've grown and we've gotten a bunch of different people, it's different. Sometimes because what's funny is T-Bone and I are still totally different people, but we tend to I don't know if these numbers have anything to do with it, but we tend to like the same people.
You do.
And we tend to friends, everything. We tend to like the same type of personalities, the same people. When we
Meredith
have a
likes
group
drama,
of
is what she's saying.
then that means you do too. But no, but like when we have a group of 30 doctors come in, we could pick two people that we like in the group. We'll probably pick the same two people. Um, which is just kind of funny, but we can look at each other and just be like, they're so weird, but we need some weirdness in our
Yeah.
group because because we're gonna need some weirdness. So I like working with different kinds of people.
I love that. Okay.
Megan, your turn.
My turn. I mean,
Yeah.
I think it would be interesting to do this. And then I would love to learn people's growth paths. Like, what are we on? Not from a weakness standpoint, but I think that's a good thing to know, like where we fall short.
Well, and do you guys ever use Strength Finders? I'm sure you've heard of it. Or the Big Five. It focuses on your your strengths, which is so wonderful because I think sometimes we can be really hard on ourselves. So it's great to be reminded of those strengths. But it can also be really beneficial for our growth professionally and personally when we understand those blind spots. So to your point, it's like, oh man, it kind of sucks facing those things sometimes, but it can be really valuable in the long run, both for our own development and then our relationship. So I love that you said that. I'm going to give you a chance for anybody who is either in the Raleigh area looking for a new dental practice to be served by. I want to hear where people can learn more. If we have any dentists that happen to be listening that aren't already a part of the 3D group, I want to hear where people can learn more about that. Before that, though, is there anything that you would like to say that I haven't asked you about that would make this episode feel complete?
I would just tell people that when I first learned about Enneagram and I read more on it, I'm a Cliff Notes guy. I'm not read the whole book guy.
Yeah.
It really was insightful and impactful to me to understand where I failed and where I've succeeded in life and where I'm short to achieve some of my dreams. So personality, as much as I hate this stuff, as much as I consider it foo-foo and all that stuff, it's so important as you're building a more meaningful business or meaningful family even to understand that even like even within my family, my kids are totally different from each other, and understanding their personality types will help me be a better father at some point in time.
I
Well
think it
said.
answers so many questions about people too. Like, T-Bone will be like, oh, they're asking so many questions. And I'm like, well, yeah, they're a two or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So, or they're doing this. Well, duh, they're a so-and-so. Like that just, it tracks, it makes sense. And so I think it answers a lot of questions that we have about people and understanding who they are.
Yeah, I think I was telling you, I was just talking to somebody earlier, and the person that runs their practice is a type 7, and there was some frustrations among the team about, all the overused strengths that this person had. But then they realized, oh, this is where this person is coming from, and actually they have all these good things that we didn't notice, and we wouldn't have, XYZ if that wasn't their personality. And so it does just offer kind of a different perspective and appreciation for the strengths that they do have. And still going to drive you insane, I'm sure sometimes, but just a deeper appreciation for those good things. Okay, so let's see. Megan, since you're running the practice, where can people learn more about the practice if they happen to be local to the Raleigh area?
Yeah, so Raleigh Dental Arts, we've got a great website, Instagram, all the things. But our website's phenomenal. We've got great reviews, almost all of them. It's been a great practice.
Okay,
The
I'm
best way
gonna
to get
put
in
that in
touch with her is
there.
Megan at RaleighDentalArts.com. She's the direct
Oh,
connection if you want to get to see me. That's
yeah.
why my family's like, how do I get my friends to see you? I'm like, just contact Megan.
Contact Megan. Okay. Okay. Good to know. Good to know. And then Meredith, what about getting involved with the 3D group?
Yeah, so we train dentists. We do clinical CE, business coaching, live patient implant training, and we're at 3D-dentist.com. And my email is meredith at 3D-dentist.com.
Okay, and I have to make a plug for the summit. I know it's a ways away, but that's where I saw you all is
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
summit in Nashville, and I have told so many people. I said this was probably the most fun group I have ever been a part of, and it just started immediately. I think my session started at 9 a.m. You guys were going, you were popping champagne, you were sharing fun photos from the night before. So, get it. I'm telling you, get him,
Well,
look up this 3D group.
you
You
fit
saw us on day two. We were serious on day one.
You are
yeah.
serious, and I'm sure that there's a lot of value in addition to
Yeah.
just being a lot of fun.
Well, Sarah, you fit right in for again, not trying to blow smoke, but for others looking for an amazing speaker that connects with the audience, that delivers it professionally and fun. Sarah was fantastic. You had great reviews, and so you were fantastic. Like it's nuts that that people have that opportunity to get you to, especially you live close by to Nashville, so you should definitely have Sarah come speak at your event or even in your practice. It's worthwhile.
Well, I received that. Thank you. Thank you for that. You guys were a great group. And I appreciate your time today. I know this is at the end of a long workday, so thank you very much. Listeners, please reach out. Let them know what you're taking away from this episode. Let them know if you can relate to anything they said about their types, about the work dynamic. I know our guests always enjoy hearing from you. With that, thank you. And listeners, thank you for being here, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.